Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I am Non, and you are watching a Friday Ace of Spades website review. Today, why the best person to design your website is not a web designer. To illustrate the principle, I will be using a random example picked from Google. And as always, we'll be using the photo conversion rate checklist to evaluate the website, which stands for first reaction, orientation, desirability, and offers. Not, of course, forgetting Odo, who represents the central elements involved in whether a website is effective or not, and not forgetting that those elements must get attention by using contrast and IPath. Let's dive in and have a look right now at first reaction. How does the site make me feel? Alright, I'm going to go ahead and type into Google, best designed website. I'm going to get this page here. I have done this before, but this is a truly random example in the sense that I'm picking the very first result which comes up. And I'm clicking on the very first page which appears. Alright, how does it make me feel? Okay, obviously it has been professionally designed. It comes from a design gallery which showcases all of the best websites on the web. It's modern, it's attractive, it has that kind of slightly pastel-y feel which many web designers seem to love. And who can blame them? It looks really good. I mean, the first impression is excellent. It makes you feel great. There's no problem there at all. However, orientation. Am I in the right place? Alright. There is a tagline, which is good. Nothing but the finest cloud apps since 2008. So I know that if I'm looking for cloud apps, then I'm in the right place. Now, I know what cloud apps are because I'm a web designer. I wonder how many prospects know what cloud apps are. Maybe some of them do, maybe some of them don't. Other than that, there's nothing to tell me where I am. There is a little carousel thing here which is shifting around, but the actual screenshots which are being shown here don't really give me any idea of what it is that I'm seeing. Maybe these are cloud apps, maybe they aren't. It looks kind of like the website that I'm currently on, and I talked about that a couple of weeks ago. That's usually not a good thing. Showing people what they're currently seeing doesn't make any sense. The other thing with orientation, and this is something which you routinely see done wrong, and it's very tempting for web designers to do this wrong, especially when it comes to their own websites, is the navigation. Navigation is really important for orienting users because that's where they automatically look to see where they can go on the site. So you need to have a fairly simple navigation, and your navigation needs to reflect what users expect to see. You get all these websites that have, for example, this one, weird navigation items, be entertained, be social, create things. What does that mean? Where am I going to go? Where is it going to take me if I click on these links? Let's find out what Be Entertained is about. Okay, so it looks like a portfolio, and presumably it's a portfolio of more fun apps. Shouldn't it just say portfolio in the navigation? That would be what I would click on if I was looking for a portfolio. I definitely wouldn't click on Be Entertained because I've got no idea what that means. There's no home link. You'll notice there should be a home. H-O-M, you get the idea. Should be sitting there so I can go back easily. I'm sure I can click on that, which I can, but many people don't. And in terms of other things like services and contact, I don't see those here either. So the navigation is a terrible, terrible mess. It needs to be fixed immediately, even though it has pretty icons. Desirability. Do I believe I'll gain more than I invest? Well, so far I'm not feeling very confident about the website because I'm not 100% sure where to click next. So the next thing I do is I read the copy, and it says, time for a makeover. At AppVita, we're sticklers for good design, which is why we put off giving our own site well-designed makeover, da-da-da-da-da. Okay. And as a prospect, I should care why? Time for a makeover does not make me want to read the copy, because it doesn't say anything to me. It doesn't engage with what I'm thinking when I arrive on the site. It doesn't offer any kind of value or benefit. And when you see the words at AppVita, at the beginning of the copy, basically it's saying, we're going to talk about ourselves now, which says to me, we don't really care about you as a prospect, we just want to talk about ourselves. That's really bad, and that's something that you see on pretty much every professionally designed website I've ever seen. It's incredibly rare to see copy that actually talks about what the prospect wants to talk about. So you've got this immediate problem with generating desirability in that you're actually turning prospects off by talking about yourself, which if you are at a party or heck even in a professional situation, if you want to get on side with someone and be friendly with them, do you talk about yourself all the time? If someone comes up to you at a party and starts talking about himself, does that interest you? Don't you normally say, oh hey, I'm such and such, and who are you, what do you do, you know, that kind of thing? Isn't it considered rude to talk about yourself? Yes, it is. And yet online, it seems to be all we do. Finally, offers. Do my goals match the available options? And here, once again, we run into problems. What options? We've seen the navigation. Those do count as offers in a minor sense. I've got no idea what they are for. But there are no calls to action, absolutely nothing whatsoever. There's nothing asking me to click on anything, so the available offers are non-existent. I have goals, but I don't know how to achieve them on this website. Given that design is, in fact, goal-oriented, it's supposed to achieve an objective, it's strange that web designers seem to consistently forget to actually present objectives to users, and yet they do. This is hardly an aberrant example. If you go back to the best web designs gallery and look at other web designs that are on there, other websites that have been professionally designed and showcased, you'll find the same problem very, very often. Not all the time, but often. Alright, what can you take away from this? First of all, designers don't write effective headlines. That kind of goes without saying, because they're designers. Second of all, in the same vein, they don't write effective copy, because they're designers. Thirdly, they routinely neglect calls to action. That's less forgivable, because they should know better. And fourthly, headlines, copy, and calls to action are crucial to the desirability of whatever it is that you're offering on your website. So if you have a designer doing all of the work on your website, and you forget to include a copywriter or a conversion rate expert or something like that, someone who can create these things that the designers are forgetting or aren't qualified to create, then you're going to have a problem. Your website is going to be highly ineffective. This isn't to say that you should not include a designer when you create a website. There's really no one better qualified to give you a good looking site, and especially to get that first reaction that you need to be as good as possible than a designer. I wouldn't suggest that you have a copywriter or a conversion rate expert design your website unless they are also a designer. For everything you need to know about this stuff, let me quickly plug my book Attention Thievery 101, which is less of a book and more of a course, because if you have a look at www.attentionthievery.info, you'll see that you can now sign up for free online classes that go through a number of the principles that I've talked about here and expand on them in detail. And of course you can buy the full course online there as well. Until next week, I am Nom. Thank you for watching.